The cameras flash, the lights burn, and my dream finally stands before the world, yet the 5 empty seats in the front row remind me exactly who isn't here to see it. The stage lights blaze down on me as I find myself standing alone at the podium, my professional smile firmly in place while the cameras click and flash around me. This moment is the Grey Media launch, the dream I've nurtured since I was just 14 years old. My heart races within my chest as I look out at the VIP section, 5 empty seats staring back at me. I had reserved them, writing their names on small cards, Mom, Dad, Everest. I held on to the hope that maybe this time would be different. Luna, a reporter calls from the front row, notebook ready. What inspired you to start your company? The question lingers in the air. My throat constricts as I reach for the water glass, giving myself a moment to steady my nerves. Around me, the ballroom at the Westbrook Hotel buzzes with 200 industry professionals leaning forward in eager anticipation. I gently set the glass down, my fingers shaking slightly against the cool crystal. Maybe, I reply, my voice softer than I intended. It came from knowing what it feels like to be forgotten. The room falls into a hush. Cameras click rapidly, capturing the moment when my carefully built facade begins to crumble. I don't cry. Long ago, I learned that tears achieve nothing in the Grey household. The memory rises unbidden, me at 14, sitting cross-legged on my bedroom floor, a toy microphone clutched in my hand. I'd saved up 3 weeks' worth of allowance for that plastic microphone, a cheap thing connected to nothing. Yet when I spoke into it, I envisioned my voice reaching people eager to listen. And breaking news, I whispered to my audience of stuffed animals lined up in rows, Soraya Luna reports that dreams come true if you work hard enough. Cheers erupted from the living room below, my father's booming voice ringing through the walls. Did you see that catch? That's my boy. That's a Luna man right there. Football highlights filled our TV. Everest's sophomore game against Central High replayed at least twice a week. I pressed the microphone closer, raising my voice slightly, determined to finish my imaginary broadcast. Suddenly, my bedroom door cracked open. Mom peeked in, finger to her lips. Honey, could you tone it down? Your brother's highlights are on, and your dad's trying to concentrate. I lowered the microphone. But I was just. I know, sweetie. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Maybe later, okay? You know how crucial these game films are. The door clicked shut softly. Later never came. It never did in our house. Everest Games. Everest Trophies. Everest's future. These dominated our family discussions. A son carries the Luna family name. Dad reminded me once when I inquired why he never attended my school speech competition. He ruffled my hair as if I were still 5 instead of 14. Your brother has real pressure on him, Sophia. You're the lucky one. I ponder the word lucky as I stand on this stage 6 years after college, watching reporters take notes on my quote about being forgotten. The irony isn't lost on me. I learned to record in hushed tones after that fateful day at 14. I learned to dream quietly. To speak softly into that toy microphone long after it had cracked. The plastic may have broken, but my initials, SG, remain etched into its side. I imagined listeners somewhere leaning in, eager to hear what Sophia Luna had to say. If I achieved enough, they would take notice. If I became remarkable enough, even the Grey household would have to acknowledge me. I believed this fervently, first as a child, then a teenager, and finally as a young woman. I told myself that understanding their dismissal softened the blow. Becoming the daughter who understood while Everest was in the spotlight became my identity, my burden to carry. In my senior year of high school, I sat at our kitchen table surrounded by college brochures, with Northwestern's esteemed journalism program circled in red ink. "Dad, I want to apply here. They have the best broadcasting program in the nation." He barely lifted his gaze from his coffee. "That won't put food on the table, sweetheart. How about something practical? Business, maybe?" "Your father's right," Mom chimed in, patting my hand. "Those communication degrees are, well, just hobbies, really. Consider something more practical, dear." I applied anyway and was accepted with a partial scholarship. I watched as my parents drove Everest to Arizona State for his full-ride football orientation. Boxes packed, everything brand new. "We'll help you out as much as we can," Dad told him, "but with your scholarship, you shouldn't need much." My partial scholarship left a challenging gap of $20,000. When I presented the numbers, Dad's expression darkened. "That's a lot for a degree that might not lead anywhere, Sophia." I ended up at community college, working night shifts at the campus coffee shop, recording my first podcast on equipment I collected piece by piece from pawn shops. That night after registration, I sat on my bed, whispering into my new second-hand microphone, testing the sound levels. My voice had grown stronger than it was at age 14, perhaps lacking some hope, yet brimming with determination. I proclaimed to the quiet room, "If no one will hear me, I'll seek out those who will." Fast forward 6 years and 50 million monthly listeners, and here I am on this stage, taking one last look at the empty seats before diving into my launch speech. The words bubble up from my throat, solid and confident, evolving from that childhood whisper in my bedroom to resonate in this packed ballroom. While they didn't arrive, everyone else certainly did. On that night, steam billowed from the industrial espresso machine as I prepared another shot, my third double of the night. The clock above the counter read 2:17 a.m. Just 3 more hours before I could finish my shift and head home to edit the podcast episode from the night. Another all-nighter, Gray? Selena, the owner, leaned against the counter, counting the day's tips. Her gray hair shimmered in the dim light as she sorted the bills into neat stacks. 500,000 listeners don't record themselves. The pride in my voice still feels peculiar, like a new outfit that hasn't been broken in yet. Selena let out a low whistle. 500,000, wow. Your parents must be bursting with pride. My hand stopped over the portafilter. They actually don't know. What do you mean they don't know? 500,000 people tune into your voice each week, and your own parents aren't among them? I shrugged, tamping the coffee grounds with practiced accuracy. They're busy. Everest senior season at Arizona State. They drive 3 hours every weekend for his games. What I didn't mention was that they've only visited my apartment once in the past 2 years. Dad spent 20 minutes inspecting my building's security features while Mom fretted over the milk in my fridge. They turned down my invitation to see my makeshift studio in the spare bedroom, just a closet with foam panels stapled to the walls and a microphone stand I pieced together from hardware store materials. Last week, I sent them the link to the episode that made it onto the charts. I focused intently on the coffee dripping into the cup. 3 days later, Mom texted back, "That's nice, honey, with no sign that she'd listened. Selena's hand gently rested on my shoulder. "They're missing out, kiddo." The bell jingled as a customer walked in, ending our conversation, but her words echoed in my mind as I completed my shift. 3 weeks later, I found myself driving the family sedan on the familiar route to my childhood home for Thanksgiving. The desert sprawled on either side of the highway, the November chill barely grazing the Arizona landscape. My grip tightened on the steering wheel when I spotted a billboard for Arizona State football, prominently displaying my brother's number 84. When I arrived, the gray family driveway was packed with cars. Extended family was already inside, the savory aroma of turkey and sage enveloping me as I entered with my overnight bag. "There she is." Uncle Richard's booming voice came from the living room. "The career gal. Still doing that little radio thing?" "Podcast," I corrected automatically. "And yes." Dad emerged from the kitchen with a beer, giving my shoulder a friendly clap. "She's got quite a few listeners now. That hobby is really taking off, isn't it, Sophia?" "Quite a few listeners?" Just last week, I recorded 513,942 downloads in a single day. "Where's Mom?" I inquired, placing my bag down. "Upstairs. Go say hello." I ascended the familiar stairs, passing framed photos of Everest in various football poses throughout the years. My own graduation photo hung smaller at the end, slightly askew as if it was an afterthought. Pushing my bedroom door open, I was taken aback. The room was unrecognizable. My twin bed was gone, replaced by glass display cases filled with trophies. Shelves adorned the walls, housing footballs inscribed with signatures and game dates. Framed newspaper clippings filled the space where my bookshelf had once stood. My mother stood in the center, dusting a particularly large trophy. "Mom?" I exclaimed, surprised. She turned, startled. "Oh, Sophia, honey. I didn't hear you come in." Her gaze flitted nervously around the room. "We've meant to tell you, since Everest might go pro, we needed some way to properly exhibit all his achievements." My throat tightened. "What about my stuff?" "It's in the garage, neatly boxed up," she said, brushing her hands on her apron. "We thought you'd prefer it since you have your own place now." I scanned the walls for any remnants of my presence, the spelling bee certificates, my high school journalism awards, the framed cover of the university newspaper I had edited. Nothing was left. "You could have asked." "Well, you're never home, always working at that coffee shop and recording your little stories," she replied, patting my arm. "Come help with the stuffing. Everyone's waiting." Downstairs, Everest was captivating the room, regaling cousins with stories of college glory. He barely acknowledged my presence with a nod before diving back into an impressive tale about a game-winning catch. Later, as we gathered at the dining table, Dad raised his glass. "To Everest, with NFL scouts watching his every move. Soon we'll have a real gray legacy to be proud of." Glasses clinked. My glass of water sits untouched on the table. After dinner, I slip into the garage, where I discover cardboard boxes labeled Sophia, carelessly stacked next to old paint cans. As I sift through one, I come across my childhood journals and well-preserved awards, now crumpled and bent. Suddenly, my phone buzzes in my pocket. It's an email from Western Media Group, the podcast network that has been pursuing me for months. They're finally ready to present a distribution deal that could significantly amplify my audience. The only catch? They require financial references and a cosigner for the office lease. I head back inside and find Dad alone in the kitchen. "Dad, I need to discuss something with you," I say. He glances up from loading the dishwasher. "Make it quick." The highlights coming on. I share the details of this incredible opportunity, my biggest yet, and mention the need for a financial reference. His face darkens with each word. "So, you want me to risk my credit on this podcast endeavor?" "Sophia, those internet radio shows are merely hobbies. What will happen if it fails and I'm left hanging?" "It won't fail. I have 500,000 listeners. This is my chance to." He interrupts, "Your brother has NFL scouts at every game. That's a real opportunity. This internet stuff?" He shakes his head. "It's unstable." I clench my fists by my sides. "I just need your signature, not your money." And I'm saying no. When you have a real job with realistic prospects, then we can talk. He turns away, signaling the end of our conversation. Later that night, I sit cross-legged in my old bedroom, now a shrine to my brother, surrounded by display cases. I record an unfiltered episode on my phone that I have no intention of publishing. "This is what invisibility sounds like," I whisper into the microphone. "This is what it feels like when those who should see you the clearest don't notice you at all." Tears cascade down my cheeks, yet my voice stays steady. They won't see me unless I make them look. The next night in my apartment, I carefully remove family photos from my desk, stashing them in a drawer. I sign the Western Media contract, placing just my name on the dotted line, betting everything on my own decision. Professor Williams from the community college reaches out the following week after hearing about my contract. "I always knew you had something special," she says. "Your voice has always conveyed truth." Selena offers the coffee shop's back room for recording after hours, rent-free until I'm established. Trent Daniels, a tech entrepreneur who learned about my podcast through a friend, emails expressing interest in investing in my vision for a network focused on female shows. "Your authenticity is rare," he writes. "I want to help amplify it." The night I secure my first major advertising deal, I sit in my apartment surrounded by contracts, my name being the sole signature on every page. A broken toy microphone from my childhood rests on my desk, a reminder of the whispers that evolved into roars. This time, I'm not weighed down by my family's indifference. I breathe fully and freely. They might not see me, but the rest of the world will. A week later, I hear the cheerful sound of champagne glasses clinking around my parents' dining table, a familiar noise during significant Gray family announcements. Dad stands proudly, gripping his glass tightly as if it could float away with his excitement. "To Everest," he declares, his voice booming. Finally, a Gray making headlines. NFL tryouts are next month. Can you believe it? 28 pairs of eyes turn to my brother, who beams with rehearsed modesty. Mom wipes her tears while Uncle Frank gives Everest a hearty clap on the back, causing his wine to dangerously slosh near Grandma's lace tablecloth. I smile and nod, my own glass barely touched. Nobody notices my phone buzzing in my pocket, my producer giving me the news that my podcast just reached 1 million monthly listeners, the milestone I've aspired to for years, coinciding with everyone toasting my brother's promising career. Later, Mom finds me in the kitchen, loading the dishwasher while the family gushes over Everest's college highlight reel in the living room. "Honey, could you please not mention your work tonight?" she says, stacking dessert plates beside me. "Your brother needs the spotlight right now. The scouts are still undecided." I arrange the silverware mechanically. "When exactly is my moment in the spotlight, Mom?" She sighs, the sound of a woman's skilled and gentle dismissal. "You know how your father feels about real jobs versus hobbies." The word stings, as if I've been slapped. 1 million listeners. $200,000 in advertising revenue last quarter. A hobby. Right, I reply, my voice clipped. Aunt Patty catches me before dessert, her bifocals slipping down her nose as she squints at me. "How is your little radio show going, dear?" "Podcast," I correct her, just as I have 6 times before. "And it's going well. We just hit, did you catch the news? Everest might be joining the Cowboys." She cuts in excitedly, already making her way to the living room. "Your dad is a wreck." Fast forward 2 weeks, and I'm in my apartment, fixated on the press release draft for my company, Gray Media, at just 24 years old. With 5 shows under my belt, a studio space rented in downtown LA, and 15 employees depending on me, the pressure is on. Our launch event is scheduled for next Thursday at the Westbrook Hotel, with 300 industry professionals set to attend. I want my parents there, not for financial help anymore, but because that childish part of me wishes they would finally notice me. My fingers tremble as I type the email. "Mom and Dad, I'm excited to announce the launch of Gray Media next Thursday at 7 p.m. in the Westbrook Hotel ballroom. This is the most important day in my life. I hope you'll come. Love, Sophia." For 6 days, I check my phone every hour. Then, on launch day, I get a text. "Sorry, honey. Everest's playoff game is tonight. Your dad says to wish you luck with your thing. Love you." I read it 3 times before placing my phone face down on the bathroom counter. In the mirror, I see a woman in a sharp gray suit, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. I blink them back, touch up my mascara, and rehearse my speech once more. The ballroom shines, filled with industry elites, as I step onto the stage that evening. 5 empty chairs in the front row stare back at me, each one marked with a reserved card for Mom, Dad, Everest, Aunt Patty, and Uncle Frank. My heart races as the spotlight shines on me. "Thank you for being here tonight," I begin, my voice calmer than my racing heart. Gray Media embodies a fresh vision for digital storytelling. The words flow until a reporter from the LA Times raises his hand during the Q&A. "Luna," he asks, "who inspired you to start your company?" The question lands like a blow to the chest. I glance at those empty chairs and then back to the eager crowd. "Maybe," I say softly, "it came from experiencing what it's like to be overlooked." A hush envelopes the room, and cameras begin clicking. I notice the recognition in the eyes of the women in the audience, daughters who understand the feeling of being invisible. That night at 11:42 p.m., as I kick off my heels in my hotel room, my phone rings. Dad's name lights up the screen. "Are you trying to humiliate us?" His voice booms through the speaker without a greeting. "Your comment blew up on Twitter. Your brother's friends are asking about it." "Which comment, Dad?" My voice is steady, surprising even me. "That nonsense about being forgotten," as if we haven't backed you your whole life. I sit on the edge of the bed, suddenly tired of faking it. If you're embarrassed, maybe there's a reason. Do you think anyone cares about your little shows? His tone turns dismissive. This isn't football, Sophia. This isn't real. Millions do, I respond, my honesty giving me strength. Just not you. The line goes quiet for 3 heartbeats. Your mother is upset, he finally replies. By morning, that clip has gone viral. Female entrepreneur speaks truth about family dynamics reads one headline. My inbox fills with messages from women sharing similar experiences. My business partners meet with me the following Monday, concern etched on their faces. The board is worried about the personal angle, Mark begins, but Lucia interrupts, asserting they're mistaken. Your honesty is your greatest asset, Sophia. The numbers back it up. And she's right. My subscriber count has doubled overnight. 3 major platforms have approached me for partnerships. The Women's Media Alliance wants me to keynote their conference. In that moment, I truly grasped the power of my voice, not in spite of being overlooked, but because of it. 6 months later, I find myself in my apartment, staring at Forbes magazine lying on my coffee table. 30 Under 30 shines brightly on the cover. My photo occupies a quarter of page 18, with the caption, Self-Made Media Entrepreneur, Sophia Gray, revolutionizes podcasting, beneath an image of me alone in my downtown LA apartment, surrounded by recording gear. My phone pings with an email from dgray@hotmail.com. The subject line reads, We saw your interview with Terry Gross. My heart races as I click it open. Sophia, your mother and I listened to your Fresh Air interview yesterday. You did great. We're proud to see a Gray making waves in the business world. A warmth blossoms in my chest. At last, after all these years, they see me. But then I read the last paragraph. On a personal note, Everest is struggling after being cut from training camp. He's got his son's private school tuition due soon, and he could really use some help, around $3,000 a month until he gets back on his feet. Since you're doing so well now, family should support family, right? That warmth shrivels into a cold knot in my stomach. I close the email without responding and flip the magazine face down on the table. Some things never change, but I have. An email from my father lights up my laptop screen at 2 a.m., the timestamp seeming to taunt me. After 3 years of silence, he has managed to send 23 meticulously composed sentences about family pride, all concluding with a request for $3,000 a month to support Everest. I run my finger across the glass, feeling the chill beneath my touch. The apartment is silent around me, my haven, purchased through my efforts. There are no football trophies here, just accolades they never recognized and books they doubted I'd ever write. We're so proud of what you've achieved, my father had stated. Proud. That word tastes acrid, like stale coffee. A quick search on Google would have revealed my achievements long ago, but they chose to wait until Everest was in need of funds. I reluctantly type out my reply, each word measured like a unit of currency, politely acknowledging their newfound concern and offering brief insights into my upcoming projects, but avoiding the topic of money. I conclude with, I'm building something that matters instead of love. The cursor hovers over the send button. I take a deep breath. Click. Hours later, his reply comes in, less refined this time. Did you see the part about Everest's situation? He follows up with 2 more emails that evening and 5 the next day. Each one is less composed than the last, desperation creeping into his words. I don't respond to any of them. A week goes by. The receptionist's voice crackles through my office intercom. Luna? Your brother is here. My stomach knots. I stand, adjusting my charcoal pencil skirt with clammy hands. Send him in. Everest fills the doorway of my corner office, still carrying himself like the star quarterback he once was. His designer jacket hangs loosely over shoulders that used to overpower defensive linemen. His gaze sharpens when he sees the view of downtown Los Angeles behind me. Nice place, he comments flatly. Must be nice. What can I do for you, Everest? I motion to the chair across from my desk, but he stays standing. Dad's emails. You've been ignoring them. I replied to his first one. Not about what matters. He paces a few steps and halts at my bookshelf, glancing at my first microphone encased in glass. You know, I lost my coaching job. The office outside my glass walls has gone quiet. My team pretends not to watch, but I can feel their attention like a heavy weight. I heard. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't pay the bills. His voice rises. You've got millions of listeners while my son is eating instant noodles. What sort of aunt does that make you? The term aunt strikes like a slap. Everest has a 9-year-old son I've met only twice. Both times he was too involved with Dad talking football to introduce us properly. You haven't called me that since he was born. The words slip out before I realize it. This isn't about that. He slams his hand on my desk. This is about family. About helping each other during tough times. When I needed help, where were you? My tone stays steady, rehearsed. When I worked night shifts for college? When I built Luna Media on my own? That's different. How? It simply is. You're, he stammers. A girl? I finish for him. Just the daughter? Heads turn in the office beyond. I've raised my voice unintentionally. This isn't the way I wanted this conversation to unfold. Taking a breath, I center myself. Everest, I constructed this company while you got full scholarships and NFL opportunities. While Mom and Dad cheered for every game and missed every significant milestone in my life. I stand up straight and hold his gaze. You can apologize, Everest. But please don't make me your emotional ATM. His face flushes with anger. You've always been jealous. No, I've always been invisible. I walk to the door and open it. We're done here. That evening, my phone blows up with notifications. Everest's Instagram post about selfish sisters who forget their roots is gaining traction. My father's number lights up my screen 7 times. I let each call go to voicemail. Just before midnight, my mother sends a message. Soraya, sweetheart. Family looks after family. Your father and I did everything we could for you. Her voice cracks. Everest needs your assistance. He's family. I press delete. By morning, attempts to mend the situation begin. A producer I once met at a conference calls, mentioning my father reaching out regarding familial concerns that might affect my work. 2 advertisers receive similar contacts. My father has tapped into every loose connection in the media industry he can find. My team gathers in the conference room without being prompted. Loyalty shines in their eyes like embers. They're trying to pressure you through business channels, my head of operations says, sliding a printed list across the table. These are all the inquiries we've received. How would you like us to handle it? My assistant's pen hovers over her notebook. I scan their faces, people who chose me and recognize my worth without familial ties. Tell them all the same thing. Gray media speaks for itself. Period. My mentor calls from New York that afternoon. Your brother certainly expresses himself a lot online. Need any assistance? Just your ongoing support. You've always provided that. He pauses for a moment. You know you're making the right choice, right? Setting boundaries is essential. The affirmation wraps around me like a protective shield. Thank you. 3 days later, the office intercom buzzes again. Luna, your mother is on line 1. My finger shakes as it hovers over the button, and I press it. Mom? Sophia. Her voice sounds smaller than I remember. I wanted to reach out myself, not go through your father. That's a first. She sighs. I'm sorry we missed your launch. I should have been there. The apology lingers between us, unexpected and incomplete. I wait for her to continue. Your father has no idea I'm calling. She clears her throat. Everest is upset that you won't help. And what about you? I'm trying to comprehend. A long silence ensues. The things you said in that interview about feeling forgotten. Was it truly that bad? The question jolts me. 30 years of being overlooked, and she asks if it was really that bad? Do you recall when I was 14 and you told me to be quiet because Dad and Everest were watching football highlights? That was just one occasion, Sophia. It happened every single time. Silence stretches across the call. When she responds, her tone has hardened. We did our best. Your best was always for Everest. I take a deep breath to ease the tightening in my chest. I have a meeting now, Mom. Am I Dio? After hanging up, my assistant gently knocks on the door. Your cousin Becky called. She mentioned your uncle is probing into what actually occurred. The perfect gray family facade is starting to splinter, tiny cracks spreading from the epicenter of truth. That night, I stand at my apartment window, watching the city lights. My phone buzzes with a text from my father. This isn't how grays are supposed to act. I type back the single response that resonates. Then I'll be a gray on my own terms. I block his number before the message sends. Then I do the same with my mother's and Everest's. One by one, I shut those digital doors. They only opened when they wanted something from me. The ensuing silence feels nothing like emptiness. It resonates as pure freedom. An email arrives at 2:17 a.m. the following week. The glow of my computer screen pierces the darkness of my bedroom, pulling me from the brink of slumber. My dad's name pops up in bold, with the subject line reading, "Your nephew misses his aunt." I stare at the ceiling, counting my breaths. 1 a sippy. 2 a sippy. My therapist calls this a grounding technique. I call it surviving my family. Once my heartbeat slows, I open the message. Sophia, your mother and I were hoping you might come for dinner next Sunday. Everest is struggling with the divorce. His son asks about you. Don't you think you should set a good example as his aunt? Family looks after family. You remember how we made sacrifices for you. The laugh that escapes me feels alien in the silence of the apartment. Sacrificed. As if letting me attend community college while buying Everest a new car demonstrated some grand act of parental commitment. I remain silent. Come morning, 3 more emails arrive. My mother's appeal mentions, our little boy is struggling, conveniently forgetting that Everest is now 31. Dad's follow-up reminds me that Gray family values call for mutual support. The final note, from Everest, includes a photo of his son holding a football, captioned, he wants to meet his successful aunt. The manipulation is so blatant it should be laughable, yet it constricts my chest like a vice. My phone rings during the morning production meeting. Terry Jennings, my top interviewer, raises her eyebrow as I silence it. Family again? She asks when everyone else has left. They've found out about my financial success. I shuffle my notes, avoiding her eyes. You know, that interview you did last week on family estrangement is trending. People are connecting with your story. Terry's voice softens. The press is inquiring about your support system. Industry rumors have already begun. 3 different journalists have emailed questions about why my family is absent at my events. The following evening, I power up my microphone. The red recording light blinks, patient and ready. Unlike my family, it has always been there whenever I needed it. This is a special episode. I start, my voice more steadfast than my hands. Names and identifying details will be changed to protect privacy. I pause, contemplating what to say next. The urge to name them feels like fire in my throat, compelling me to finally confront them with their actions. To let millions hear how the renowned William Gray and his gifted son treated their daughter who had the audacity to thrive on her own terms. But that would only paint me as they already portray, bitter and ungrateful. Today, I wish to share my experience as the daughter who was perpetually loved last. I lower my voice to a whisper. I was the one who learned to dream quietly because my words seemed unworthy. For the next hour, I speak freely, without notes. I reminisce about the 14-year-old girl with a toy mic. About college applications and transformed bedrooms. About launch events with vacant chairs. I never mention my father or brother directly. Instead, I describe a parent blinded by gender roles and a sibling raised to feel entitled to everything. The power lies in what I choose not to say. In a tale painfully familiar to countless women who see this recurring pattern. When I finish, I sit in quiet reflection for several moments before hitting publish. The file uploads with a straightforward title, The Voice They Ignored. By morning, it garners 1 million downloads. By evening, 5 million. Within just 48 hours, 10 million people have absorbed my narrative, without my family's names ever appearing. The first call comes from Dad at work, his voice strained with barely suppressed anger. "Take it down," he demands. "People know you're talking about us." Am I? I maintain a casual tone. I never specified anyone directly. People will make assumptions. Only if it feels familiar, Dad. That word is foreign to me now, formal and distant. Only if it resonates with what you'd do. He hangs up. Next, Mom tries. Her tears are evident through her trembling voice. "We've always loved you, Sophia. How could you say such painful things?" "I didn't claim they were about you, Mom." Her silence speaks volumes. Everest sends a simple message stating, "Real family wouldn't air dirty laundry." I choose not to respond to any of them. In the following days, the national media seizes the story. Headlines like "The Untold Truth Behind Grey Media's Founder and America's Forgotten Daughters Speak Out" flash across screens. My inbox fills with countless letters from women sharing similar tales of feeling invisible in their families. Colleagues in the industry send quiet words of encouragement. My staff is invigorated, now understanding the mission behind our network's dedication to amplifying silenced voices. Later, I sit at my desk reviewing the week's stats. The episode has become our most downloaded content ever. Comments flood our website, each echoing the same sentiments. I thought I was the only one. A notification pops up on my screen. My brother has taken to social media with a lengthy rant about ungrateful siblings and the value of family loyalty. I shut the tab without reading further. His words carry no weight for me now. Instead, I open a blank document and begin crafting a reply to a particular email from a 16-year-old girl who asked, "How do I find my voice when no one in my family cares to hear it?" My reply flows effortlessly now, not from a place of bitterness or revenge, but from a newfound understanding of my own value. "Start by whispering," I write. Then gradually speak a little louder each day. The right people will listen, even if they're not the ones you were born to. I sign off and hit send, feeling the last remnants of obligation dissolve. The family that overlooked my voice for 28 years can now choose to hear me, along with the world, or remain silent. For the first time in my life, their choice is irrelevant. Morning light pours through my apartment windows, casting a warm glow across my award wall. 3 years have passed since that viral press conference and since I cut off their numbers. I run my fingers along the spines of the books I've collected, each a small act of rebellion against the childhood home where only football trophies were deemed worthy. My downtown LA apartment buzzes with a sense of peace, a refuge designed entirely on my own terms. Grey Media now occupies the top floor of a glass tower just 6 blocks away. 15 shows, 50 million monthly downloads, figures that should mean something significant, yet today it's the profound silence that strikes me, how comforting it feels after years of striving to be heard. A notification chimes. An unfamiliar email address catches my eye. I almost dismiss it, but the subject line intrigues me. From Everest's son. My coffee cup freezes mid-air. That name hasn't been uttered in my home for years. "Dear Aunt Sophia," the message begins. "I'm Tyler. I'm 14 now. I listened to your podcast about invisible daughters. I understand now why you don't talk to my dad. Our family treated you unfairly. I want to be different. Can we meet? Just us. My thumb hovers over the delete key. A familiar gray family pattern. They only reach out when they need something. But he's just a 14-year-old boy. I suggest a coffee shop close to my workplace. It's public, brief, and managed. 2 days later, he's sitting across from me, awkward and full of uncertain grins. His jawline resembles Everest, yet his eyes are softer. He grips a small box wrapped in what appears to be Sunday comics. Dad doesn't know I'm here, he says, sliding the package toward me. Mom assisted me in finding this. She mentioned you might want it back. As I unwrap the crinkling paper, I discover a small, cracked plastic microphone, with faded tape holding it together. My initials, SG, are etched into the base with a safety pin during one particularly dull Sunday while the others watched football. Where did you find this? My voice catches in my throat. Mom discovered it in Grandpa's garage during their cleanup. She said it belonged to you. Those 20 years rush back. I'm 12 again, pouring my heart into this seemingly worthless plastic gadget, convinced someone out there would care to hear my stories. I listen to all your shows, Tyler says, nervously fiddling with his straw. The one about invisible daughters brought me to tears. Dad never mentions you, but sometimes I overhear him arguing about you with Grandpa when they think I'm busy gaming. Something inside me unravels. For the first time in years, tears blur my eyes. Thank you for bringing this, I managed to say, my throat tight. Can I ask you something? Tyler leans closer. How did you realize your voice mattered when no one listened? His question cuts deep, echoing the familiar fate of the Gray family, the burden of being unseen. Not the favored child. Just the observer. I reach across the table and clasp his hand. I didn't know if it mattered. I just sensed I would vanish entirely if I didn't speak up. Dad thinks I should play football, but I'd rather write stories, he confesses impulsively, glancing up to gauge my response. You don't have to mimic anyone, Tyler, I reassure him. Just listen and speak your truth. That's what a voice truly needs. His smile bursts like a sunrise. Could I learn to record them someday? Just like you? When you're ready, I promise I'll guide you. Later on, I place the broken microphone on my shelf, nestled between my Peabody Award and my Forbes magazine feature. The juxtaposition jolts me, this plastic toy next to a crystal trophy. It represents the beginning and the culmination. I hit record on my personal journal, the one show that no one else will ever hear. Not every wound requires an apology to heal, I whisper, gently holding the microphone. Sometimes the true freedom comes from understanding how the silence strengthened you. I pause, recalling Tyler's sincere face. And sometimes healing comes from those who watched and chose to evolve. Suddenly, my phone buzzes with a voice message from an unfamiliar number. I started recording my own stories, Aunt Sophia, Tyler's voice rings out, filled with clarity and hope. A smile spreads across my face as I listen. The cycle breaks, not with noise, but with a whisper.